The assassin. You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest. You know I break necks, call me Jack Tate. I have no regrets while your life is fading. I'm a crazy fuck equivalent to Satan. When I'm behind the mic, I feel like the greatest.
What up, y'all? You're listening to Sports Talk with Tropp, and I'm your host, Katie Tropp. Well, shout out to the old guys yesterday. Holy shit. Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, and Max Scherzer. The old dudes putting on a show in football and baseball. So let's first get right into Thursday night football last night, which actually, what am I telling you, man, about division rivalries, man? These matchups are always good, regardless of what the records are. You can never, ever overlook a division battle. Like I said, sometimes there'll be blowouts, but last night did not disappoint. The Bengals won in a close one, 33-31, and it was literally a duel between the two 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks, Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. Flacco went 31 for 47. Yes, Joe Flacco had to drop back to pass 47 motherfucking times. How crazy is that? He just got traded from the Cleveland Browns, y'all. And he comes in, and I kid you not, he is fitting right in this offense. 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then on the opposite side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers, 23 for 34, 249 yards and 4 touchdowns. You know, at first, Steelers come right out the gate. They score. It looks like it's going to be all Steelers. And then all of a sudden, the Bengals turned it on, and they got way out with a lead. And then it looked like the Bengals were just going to run away with this one. And then Aaron Rodgers and the dudes just start making a comeback, and it's close. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers take the lead, and it's like, holy shit, what's going on here? And then Flacco takes them down the field, and they get the game-winning field goal. But man, what a crazy turn of events. But don't forget about Jamar Chase, the young dude, the wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. He went off for 161 yards and a touchdown. And like I said, man, all Flacco has to do is throw this shit up to his two receivers, and he's got it made in the shade. But it's just crazy that he was literally just traded to this team. Old-ass motherfucking Joe Flacco. And, I mean, it looked bad in Cleveland, too. It was kind of looking like, oh, shit, maybe Flacco needs to head back to retirement. And then he comes and plays in Cincinnati, and this is what happens here. I mean, what a crazy turn of events. And that's why, man, it's awesome to see those two still be able to play that kind of football at their ages. Just got to fucking love it. So let's get ready to get into the rest of Week 7 and what we have coming up this weekend. Also, my matchup between the homie Simon Ruvalcaba, he took his lead back this week. I went 9-6 last week to bring my season total to 57-35, and he went 11-4 last week to bring his total to 59-33. So he is 2 games ahead of me right now. We both had the Pittsburgh Steelers last night, so we start Week 7 0-1. So let's start off Sunday in London. Again, this is actually going to be the last London game. They actually, this week is actually what I would call the real London team, because they always play in London every single year. Basically, I think they have played in London every single year since the league started going over there. So that's why I'm like, this is basically London's team. And it's going to be the Los Angeles Rams versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who is London's team? The Jacksonville Jaguars. I know part of the reason why is their owner actually owns Wembley Stadium, and that's where they're going to be playing. So that's part of the reason why they play there all the time. But it's just funny because there's always a Jacksonville Jaguars game there, and it's just like, out of all the teams, it's Jacksonville that's the London team, but just whatever. That's what it's always been, and it's always very amusing to me. But this week, they're actually getting a very good game. The Rams, really good team. Jacksonville, really good team. They both solid on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, I trust the Rams a lot more than I do the Jaguars. But to me, this is just one of those matchups where I feel like both defenses are going to play a big role in this one. And, since this is London's team, I kind of feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to show out in this one. I do think it's going to be a battle. I don't think this is going to be a close or a runaway game in either direction. I feel like this is going to be a battle back and forth, whether it's defensive or offensive or between the quarterbacks or whatever. I feel like it's going to be back and forth all day. I think this is going to come down to probably a last-minute drive, last-second field goal, something of that nature. But I have the Jaguars winning 28-27. Simply because, like I said, they're London's team, and they actually do tend to play well, especially when they have a decent team like they do this year. So I just feel like it's also time. The Rams haven't played real consistent football this season either. They've shown that they're a very good team and they could get the job done, but they also seem to fall short in certain areas, and I just kind of feel like that's what's going to happen this week. Then we have the New Orleans Saints at the Chicago Bears. Right now, the Bears are a 4.5-point favorite. The Saints, they've actually shown a little spark. I didn't expect them to be a good team at all this year, but they actually are competitive in a few of their matchups. The Chicago Bears, they've had their moments where they play really good football, but then they also have their moments where they play really bad football. But this week they're going up against the New Orleans Saints, so I actually expect them to play really good football. They're going to be at home. They're coming off of a big win against Washington last week, and like I said, New Orleans not a very good team, so I actually expect Chicago to dominate this one on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball in this one. I've got Chicago winning 31-17. Then we have the Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. Right now, the Browns are a 2.5-point favorite. This is the battle between probably the two shittiest teams in the league. Also throw Tennessee in there, but Tennessee can't play in this one. So we've got Miami at Cleveland, and it's just, since it's two terrible teams, should actually turn out to be a pretty decent game. Miami, in their loss last week, it was just basically all finger pointing at the end of the game. You could just tell their team continuity doesn't even exist at this point in time. Cleveland, defensively, they're good, but offensively, there's just who the hell knows what's going on there. But with that being said, since they're a solid defensive team, they're at home, and this is the shit bowl. So, if it's the shit bowl, you might as well say the Cleveland Browns are going to win that one because, it's the shit bowl. So I've got the Cleveland Browns winning 21-7. Then we have the New England Patriots at the Tennessee Titans. Right now, the Patriots are a 6.5-point favorite. The Titans are coming off of firing their coach, so that's cool. But New England is coming in hot. They're coming in off of two big wins, one being over their division rival Buffalo, and also you've got Vrabel coming into his old team that he was coaching with the Titans. So he might want to kick some ass, but I don't think it's going to be really difficult at all for the Patriots to kick the ass of the Titans because the Titans are terrible. I have New England wiping the floor with the Titans 41-7. Then we have Las Vegas Raiders at the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, the Chiefs are a 10.5-point favorite, which is very odd to me because, like I said, this is a division matchup. And the Raiders have actually been known to play the Chiefs well in Kansas City. They usually aren't scared of the Chiefs in Kansas City, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Now, with that being said, I'm leaning towards the Chiefs in this one simply because it looks like the Chiefs are starting to click on all cylinders, at least offensively. They still need to find a ground attack, which I think is their biggest issue on the offensive side of the ball. But they will be getting Rashee Rice back this week, so that should definitely give them more of a spark on the offense. Which, they've you could tell in their last couple of games, they've been starting to click offensively, through the air at least, but they got to do something about the ground attack. With that being said, though, I think the ground attack is going to be a problem for them, and I just feel like this is going to actually be a defensive game between two really solid defenses. The Raiders, like I said, always step it up when it's against the Chiefs, especially in Kansas City, but the Kansas City Chiefs defense is really solid as well, and the Raiders offense is absolute garbage. So I kind of feel like it's just going to be defense all day for the most part. But the Chiefs just have the better team, so I'm going with the Chiefs 21-16. Then we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, the Eagles are a 2.5-point favorite. I am actually very torn on this game because I kind of feel like the Eagles are now starting to collapse. And you look at this, and it doesn't feel like they're going to start getting better. They haven't looked good at anything at all this year. They've been able to get by. They will kick your ass. They're just great on the offensive and defensive line. They know how to own the line. But as far as team continuity, it's like they're always arguing. They're always calling each other out. Nobody's ever happy with each other. And it just kind of feels like at some point that's going to keep on wearing on you. And they've lost 2 in a row now. And the Vikings, while I'm not really sold on them, I don't really think they're that great of a team. They still have a lot of offensive firepower and are able to score a lot of points. And then defensively, they really are legit defensively. But I was very torn on this game. I'm leaning towards the Eagles in this one, only because I don't really see them losing 3 games in a row. I kind of see them actually putting this one together. And mostly because I think their defense will take care of business and really try to, take out Jefferson as much as they can. They're really good especially at getting at the quarterback. And I kind of feel like that's actually what's going to be the edge here is the Eagles defense. And like I said, offensive line, defensive line, they always dominate the line. It's just they're great at dominating the line of scrimmage. And so I just kind of feel like this is going to be their day. And I feel like they're going to put it together enough. And just like I said, I don't really see the Eagles losing 3 in a row, even though I'm hoping they lose 3 in a row. So I've got the Eagles 26-21. Then we have the Carolina Panthers at the New York Jets. Right now, the Jets are a 1.5-point favorite, which is absolutely shocking to me because the Jets are another garbage-ass team. They haven't got 1 win on the season. And there's just nothing good about this team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They're just trash. Whereas Carolina, at least, has been in the majority of the games this year, win or lose. They've only got their ass kicked, I think, once. Was it the game against the Falcons? Regardless, I know the Panthers got their ass kicked in one game, but they've pretty much been in it in every single game. And they're a team that can put it together. They've got like I keep saying, they've got young, scrappy dudes who are able to take care of business. And I just think they have a lot more direction than the New York Jets do. So I'm going with the Carolina Panthers in this one, 24-13. Then we have the New York Giants at the Denver Broncos. Right now, the Broncos are a 7.5-point favorite. The Giants are another team, just like the Jets. They have Scadaboo and Dart looking like they might be the future of this franchise, but that's the future. The present, I don't think is going to be too fun for the Giants fans, especially in Denver. Denver's defense ain't nothing to fuck with, and I just kind of feel like they're going to key in on Scadaboo and Dart. Dart's very loosey-goosey with the football, so I would not be shocked if he ends up having a couple of turnovers in this one. And the Broncos are great at stopping the run, so I really actually don't expect Scadaboo to do what he did last week. So I just kind of feel like Denver's going to dominate this one. I've got Denver winning 31-20. Then we have the Indianapolis Colts at the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, the Chargers are a 1.5-point favorite. I'm expecting this one to actually be a pretty good game between 2 really solid teams on the defensive side of the ball. And they both have their quirks where you just look at them and you're like, you could just see things turning that just, I could see Daniel Jones maybe just throwing a bad pass here and there. And then the Colts defense maybe getting in too much at Justin Herbert and him making some mistakes. So I kind of feel like this is going to be a defensive game between the Colts and the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers, though, are going to key in on Jonathan Taylor, and because that's what you got to do. That's the only way you're going to stop this Colts team is to take care of Jonathan Taylor. So I feel like that's what they're going to do. I feel like they're going to take care of business on the defensive side of the ball. And their offense is going to do just enough to get the win. I've got the Chargers winning a close one, 28-24. Then we have the Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, the Commanders are a 2.5-point favorite. The Cowboys are coming off of that tough loss last week. And Washington's coming off of a tough loss last week as well. Washington does not look solid. They look like a very beatable team in all ways. Last week was their best defensive performance of the season, and they lost. Offensively, they did not look good at all. Terry McLaurin is not expected to play this week, so there's that one weapon that they have that's out of the game. It was announced today, though, very odd for Trayvon Diggs, the cornerback of the Dallas Cowboys, apparently had some type of accident at his house and ended up with a concussion, so he's not going to be playing either. So the Cowboys' secondary already sucks, and now Diggs is going to be out. But with that being said, this is division battle, and it's Cowboys versus the Commanders. It's usually a battle. It usually is not a runaway in either way. I'm kind of expecting both teams to really step it up, But I feel like the Cowboys are going to come into this one pissed off, ready to win, and also Dak owns the division teams. He just does. He always steps it up against the division. And so I've, of course, got my Cowboys winning this one 30-23. Then we have the Green Bay Packers at the Arizona Cardinals. Right now, the Packers are a 6.5-point favorite. It looks like it's going to be Jacoby Brissett starting again at quarterback this week for Arizona. But even so, I don't think it matters because Green Bay is actually a very good team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Jordan Love is having a great year. And I just kind of feel like Green Bay is going to walk into Arizona and really have no issues in this one. I think it's just going to be all offense all day for the Packers. I've got the Packers winning this one 41-14. And then our Sunday night football matchup is the Atlanta Falcons at the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, the Niners are a 3.5-point favorite. It's looking like Mac Jones is probably going to start again at quarterback this week. Brock Purdy doesn't seem to be getting healthy at all. So we'll see what happens there. But Atlanta's coming off of that big win over Buffalo last week. But I kind of feel like that was one of those fluky wins. More Buffalo just didn't really show up, whereas Atlanta they just took advantage of that and they were able to show up. I don't think Atlanta's going to do it 2 weeks in a row. While I don't really think the Niners are that great of a team, I do think they're a better team than Atlanta. So I've got the Niners winning a close one, 20-17. Moving on to baseball and the ALCS and the NLCS. One of these is a runaway, and one of them is actually a legit series. So let's get into the legit series in the ALCS. Game 3, Toronto stormed back in this one. Toronto got the win 13-4 over Seattle. Vlad Guerrero. Oh my God. What a postseason this dude is having. I mean, he went 4 for 4 with a home run and an RBI, and he is just so reliable every time he comes up to bat, especially in the playoffs. Overall, though, Toronto had 5 home runs in this one. And then Shane Bieber, who they traded for earlier in the season, while he was injured, nonetheless, came right out, 6 innings pitched with 8 strikeouts, and just pitched a gem in that one for the Toronto Blue Jays, who got the win in Game 3, and then they were able to tie it up last night in Game 4. They got the win 8-2. Max motherfucking Scherzer. Let me tell you, dude, I love Max Scherzer. That's another dude whose career I have just appreciated from the jump. I just love how he pitches. He's such an old school pitcher. He doesn't put up with bullshit. He doesn't care how injured he is. He wants to pitch no matter what. You literally have to pull this dude out of the game, which was basically how it was yesterday. He went 5.2 innings pitched with 5 strikeouts and just pitched a gem. And that's why they picked up Scherzer in the offseason, because even though he's old, he's going to suffer some injuries. When you need all reliable, that's when all reliable shows up, and Scherzer did it last night. Vlad, of course, hit a home run, had a huge night yet again, and Seattle has tied it up, and we are headed to a Game 5, all tied up tonight, Friday in Seattle. Seattle's really got to step it up because they've pretty much gone ice cold offensively in these last 2 games. Speaking of ice cold, let's get to Game 3 of the NLCS. The Dodgers kicked the Brewers' ass yet again, 3-1. Hey, like I'm repeating myself, it feels like. The Dodgers got another gem at starting pitcher in this game. This time it was Tyler Glasnow. He only went 5.2 innings, not like 8 and 9 like the last 2, but so what? Pitched a gem, 8 strikeouts, and the Dodgers are up 3-0 and could actually sweep the Brewers on out. And to keep it quite real, I do think that's what's going to happen. The Brewers just have laid an egg in this one. I don't think they were ready for what the Dodgers got, and that's why I said when the Dodgers got past the Phillies in the last round, I was like, ugh. They're going to win it all again, because nobody has the depth that the Dodgers have, and everybody is healthy, and everybody's playing well except Ohtani, and it doesn't fucking matter if Ohtani's playing well, because Ohtani actually didn't play well last year in the playoffs, and guess what? They still won. So, I'm expecting sweep tonight, and quite frankly, you might as well sweep them out, because if they don't sweep, they're going to win the next one anyway. So, Woo, we get to see the Dodgers in the World Series again. Oh my God, I am so excited about that. Can't you tell? Ugh, God. I mean, good for Dodgers fans. I mean, y'all are the only ones excited about that shit, but Jesus fucking Christ. This would have to be the most epic comeback of epic comebacks, and it ain't gonna be the Brewers. So just sweep them on out, Dodgers. You just might as well do us all a favor and just kick him to the curb. All right, so let's move on to my NBA season predictions. I have two more divisions to go over. One of them is the most stacked ass division yet again. I think this is like the third year in a row where the Northwest is like, what the fuck? This division is just out of control. I mean, they've won 2 of the last 3 NBA finals. So, I mean, for Christ's sake. And then you got another division, the Southwest, that is just garbage. So let's just start off with the Northwest division, and we have the defending champions here, who I believe are going to win this division, and that is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's just because they're the same team. SGA coming off of his amazing MVP season, and, you know, they're young, they're scrappy, and they're just a damn good team. So really, why would they lose a step? Unless injuries strike them. But to me, you could say that about literally every single team in any single sport. So that's why I always kind of delete the injuries that could potentially happen. It's just I look at straight up the squad, and straight up the squad on OKC, they are young. They just won the NBA Finals. They've been dominating the last couple of seasons, so why wouldn't they continue to dominate? Now, I don't think it's going to be easy breezy because, like I said, this is a stacked division, and I expect Minnesota and Denver to compete against them no matter what. So, but even so, I got Oklahoma City winning because why not? It's the same squad, same damn good team. And until somebody beats them, you're going to have to show me. You're going to have to prove it. And until anybody proves it, I am picking against OKC. Finishing in second place in the Northwest Division, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's just because I feel like Anthony Edwards, he's been taking a step forward every single year. In my opinion, he has not even reached, like, his apex. He's that player who's great and hasn't even really opened up the greatness just yet. He's still great, but still learning on the court and still is learning with each and every loss as well. So I just kind of feel like this is going to be another step forward for Anthony Edwards. I loved what I saw from Julius Randle last year. He fits right in with this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It's just, honestly, it's really Rudy Gobert. He's kind of a bitch player. It's not like he's the worst player, but he's just so soft in my opinion. And so I don't know, maybe he always is the reason why I don't think they're going to go anywhere, because that typically is the reason why none of his teams go anywhere, because he just kind of is soft and gets dominated. So he's kind of the only problem I see with this team. Maybe they want to trade him at some point. You could probably get something good for him and get a real legit squad to help Anthony Edwards potentially get a championship. But I really love what he and Randall have done for this team. And, I've always been a fan of Randall since he was with the Lakers for a while. And he's just always been a really solid player everywhere he goes. Really have great respect for him. And defensively, he's just excellent. Finishing in third place, I do have the Denver Nuggets. In the preseason right now, this is a great team, but it's only preseason, so I don't want to really get into it. But, they're only a couple seasons removed from their championship. They still basically have that same squad. It's just injuries have really killed them over the last couple of seasons. Jokic is always going to be Jokic. Jokic is coming in. He's going to play ball, and he's probably going to be up for MVP again this year. So we all know Jokic is going to be there. It's just the Gordons and the Murrays and the Browns. Are these guys going to be able to stay healthy? Because if they're able to stay healthy, absolutely. I think this team is going to be good. This team is always going to be in it with Jokic in it. Like I said, this division is stacked, and that's why I have them finishing in third. They could easily finish in first. I feel like those three are battling it out so hard that it's going to come down to like the end of the season, like the last week of the season. I think they're all going to be within a couple of games within each other and probably be switching from week to week who's in first place. So just because I have Denver finishing in third place doesn't mean I don't think they're going to be a playoff contender. Absolutely think they're going to be a playoff contender. It's just OKC and Minnesota, they're the younger teams. and they're not as injury prone as Denver is. So that's just kind of why I have them finishing in third. Finishing in fourth place in the Northwest Division, I have the Portland Trailblazers. Because, yes, they did sign Damian Lillard in the offseason, so they got their son back. Dame has always shown loyalty to Portland and the Trailblazers. He never really wanted to leave there. It was more they were trading him, might as well trade him to a contender at the time, try and get him a championship. Didn't work out. He tore his Achilles last year, so he's definitely not going to start the season off playing. As a matter of fact, it looks like he's going to miss a couple of months at least. So we'll see what happens there. But, I mean, this is a very young squad. It's a very roster made up of a bunch of nobodies for the most part. So I'm not expecting anything from the Portland Trailblazers. So I think they're going to be garbage. And rounding out the Northwest Division, I have the Utah Jazz finishing in fifth place. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel like the theme of the season for Utah is going to be, when do they trade Lauri Markkanen? Because he's a solid player, and there are a lot of teams that are probably willing to give up a lot for him. And at this point, the Utah Jazz have not even been competitive since they traded away Donovan Mitchell years ago. They've been trash since he left that team. And they weren't even that good. Like, I think, what was his last season there? They weren't really that good. You could just see the writing on the wall, just where this team was going. And it's just like, he's a solid player. So I kind of feel like their season's going to be in the toilet all season. And so I wouldn't be shocked if his name is up for trade talk all the way until the deadline. And who knows, he may stay with them. Because they may not get an offer that they like. But don't be surprised if he gets traded at some point. And that's probably going to be the only news for the Utah Jazz this year. Then moving on to the Southeast Division and how I feel this is going to pan out. This is a weird division because all five teams to me are really up in the air. It's going to be like, who wants this division? I went with the Miami Heat simply because they have Wiggins, Bam, and Hero. Hero is going to start the season on the injured reserve with an ankle injury, I believe. So that's going to be a problem, but lucky for them, they're in the Eastern Conference. And, Bam Adebayo, he's proven he's a solid player. So I expect him to have a good year. Wiggins, he always shows up too. So that's why I'm leaning towards Miami. They've got Spoelstra as their coach, and he's just one of the most consistent coaches of all time. So I just go with Miami because of that. They have the better roster, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really think the Southeast Division is going to be blowing up. Finishing in second place, I have the Orlando Magic. They did have a pretty decent year last year. It was marred by injuries, but they do have a nice young squad. Paolo Banchero, he has really taken the lead by storm, and when he's not injured, he is just killing it on the court. And I mean, really, last year they killed it on the court. It's just the injuries kept piling up, and then it just eventually took a toll as the season wore on. So maybe this team could take over the division. It's just, I don't believe in them yet. And until, like I always say, you got to prove it to me. And until you prove it, I can't pick you. So I went with Miami over Orlando, but I would not be shocked if Orlando actually wins it this year. Finishing in third place in the Southeast Division, I've got the Atlanta Hawks. This is another team where I feel like we're going to be hearing about, is Trae Young getting traded? That's been like the theme for the Atlanta Hawks the last 5 seasons. Like, just trade the dude already. I just kind of feel like at this point, they are just hanging on. Like, he has never been happy there. Maybe his first couple of seasons, but he hasn't been happy there in a long-ass time. I don't know why they hold on to him. So just see what you can get out of it, but I just don't think it's going to be a good season for Atlanta. So don't be shocked if we just hear about Trae Young getting traded all the way up until the deadline. Finishing in fourth place in the Southeast Division, I've got the Charlotte Hornets. I almost called them the fucking Bobcats. Goddamn. All these teams and their fucking changes of names and where they're at, it's so... That's what you get. And it's so confusing sometimes, especially because I talk about usually 3 different sports, football, baseball, and basketball. And so sometimes then you'll even... Like the other day, I mixed up the Toronto Raptors and the Toronto Blue Jays because, I talk so much about sports. But Jesus Christ... Charlotte's changed their name. Hornets, Bobcats. We're here. New Orleans. Like, fucking A, man. You do that shit, and I almost called them the Bobcats. but they're the Charlotte Hornets. I got them finishing in 4th place because they're garbage. I feel bad for LaMelo Ball because he is an excellent basketball player, and his talent is just being wasted in Charlotte. So I don't know, maybe this is another trade bait type of dude. They haven't really mentioned his name in trade, so I don't really think that's actually anything he's interested in. But maybe it is. I just kind of feel like his talent is being completely wasted here in Charlotte, and he would be much better served on a team that deserves his talent. So I don't know what's going on in Charlotte, but I feel bad for LaMelo Ball. But finishing last in the Southeast Division, I wouldn't be shocked if this team finishes in last in the overall NBA. Them and the Brooklyn Nets look like the 2 most garbage can teams in the league, and it's the Washington Wizards. They're just awful. Their roster is trash. I don't know, is this a real team anymore? I actually forget that Washington even exists because they've been so bad for so long. It's like, y'all are lucky that, like, Michael Jordan played there a million years ago because that's all you're known for is, like, where Michael Jordan wasted away. That's about, like, seriously, what a garbage-ass team, and they just never want to get better. Even when they trade away their good players like Bradley Beal, they don't even get anything out of it. They get garbage for garbage and garbage on garbage. It's like, what is going on with this stupid team? It's probably because their name is the Wizards. I mean, that's such a terrible fucking name. Well, we couldn't have them be named the Bullets because that's too mean. Don't even get me started. Anyway, so Washington's going to be terrible this year. That's all there is to it. All right, y'all. Enjoy the weekend of sports, and I will talk to you fools on Monday.